It's morning here, the soft kind, where light doesn't rush through the window, it creeps in slowly like it knows you're not ready yet. I'm sitting next to a cup of tea I forgot to drink, watching the steam disappear. And maybe that's the kind of day it is, where things fade quietly, without asking for attention. I don't know where you are, but I hope today lets you breathe a little. Some days don't. Some days feel like one long exhale you never got to take. But if you're here, maybe you've made it through the part that hurts the most. Can I ask you something? Something quiet, but real. Why do they only miss you when you stop caring? I keep asking myself that lately, not in a bitter way. Just honestly. Why is it that when your hands are full of effort, they look away? But when you finally empty them, let go, stop texting, stop hoping, they suddenly remember your name? You ever notice that? The minute you stop trying, they start reaching. The minute you stop showing up, they ask where you've been. But they don't miss you. Not really. They miss the version of you who stayed up to check on them, who forgave them 5 times and never made them feel bad about it, who remembered their coffee order, even when they didn't remember your birthday. They miss the comfort. They miss the safety. They miss being loved without conditions. But they never stayed for you. They stayed for what you gave them. And now that you've stopped, now that your heart finally put down the weight of always being the one who cares more, they feel that silence like a cold room, and they call it missing you. But where were they when you were tired and trying at the same time? Where were they when you sent that long text and all they gave back was K? Where were they when you sat with a knot in your chest, wondering if you were asking for too much? When all you wanted was to feel like you mattered. That's the part no one talks about. The days when you gave your best love to someone who only saw it as expected. The hours you spent explaining your feelings to someone who never listened the first time. The way you begged yourself not to care, but did anyway. And now that you're gone, they say they miss you? Or do they just miss not having to worry if you'd leave? Because that's the truth no one wants to say out loud. They never thought you would. They thought you'd stay, no matter how distant they got. No matter how many times they forgot you had a heart too. They thought you'd always be there, but you're not anymore. Not in the same way. And maybe you still love them. But love isn't the same as returning to what broke you. So here's what I want to do in this episode. I want to sit with you in this moment. Not to fix it, not to tell you to move on, just to say, you're not crazy for noticing. You're not dramatic. You're not too sensitive. You were just the one who cared first, and longest, and hardest. And now that you've stopped, they're remembering what it felt like to be loved like that. But this time, you're not rushing back. You're sitting with your own peace. And they can feel that. They always could. They just never expected to miss it. Take a breath. You made it here. That means something. Now let's talk about why this hurts. For real this time. Let me tell you a story. A while ago, a friend of mine, let's call her Lean, started dating this guy who was, how do I say it gently, emotionally allergic to effort. She was the one who planned everything. The calls, the texts, the check-ins. She even remembered the exact day his grandma passed and bought flowers for him every year. And him, he'd forget her birthday. Or worse. He'd remember, but still show up empty-handed, with some vague excuse like, I didn't know what you wanted and I didn't want to get it wrong. Leanne didn't leave. She stayed. Because she thought maybe love was supposed to feel like waiting. Like staying quiet so you don't scare them off. Like proving over and over that you're not like the people who left them before. But here's what most of us don't realize when we're in it. The more you overextend, the more invisible you become. It's not even intentional. It's just, when someone always shows up, you stop looking for them. Because you assume they always will. That's what happened with her. He got used to the way she cared. Like it was air. Like it would always be there. Until one day she didn't text first, and he noticed. Not with panic, but with confusion. like a man who walked into his living room and saw the couch was gone. That's when he said it. I miss you. But she was right there. She had been there. And you know what hurt her the most? Not that he said it, but that he only noticed her absence, not her presence. She told me once, I felt like a playlist he didn't appreciate until it stopped playing. And I've been thinking about that a lot. How many of us stay in situations where love feels more like labor, where effort is a one-way street and you're always the driver? Why do we do that? Because somewhere deep down, we think that being good to people will make them love us back. That if we're understanding enough, patient enough, low maintenance enough, eventually they'll see us. But here's the quiet truth I want to whisper into your chest today. Love isn't earned by shrinking. It's not proven by putting your needs on hold. It's not loyalty if the other person never showed up to begin with. You're not difficult for wanting to feel chosen. You're not needy for wanting them to text first sometimes. You're not too much for hoping they'd hold your hand without you having to reach first. You just got tired, and that's okay. Lean finally left, not with anger, but with peace. The kind of peace that only comes after years of bending and breaking and finally choosing to stop. And him? He posted a song lyric a week later. I miss what we had. But he never once asked her how she was. He missed the comfort, not the person. He missed the attention, not the connection. And that's what I want to say to you. If this is hitting somewhere close, they don't always miss you. Sometimes they just miss the version of themselves that felt important when you were around. It's not love if it only shows up after you've left. It's not love if it never tried when you were still there. So if you've ever sat there, rereading your own messages, wondering if you were asking for too much, let this be your reminder. You are asking to be seen, and that is never too much. Not now. Not ever. Here's something I've learned the hard way. When you don't feel loved by yourself, you'll chase the smallest crumbs of attention like they're a full meal. It doesn't matter if the other person is distant, inconsistent, cold. If they give you even one moment, one compliment, one emoji, one I miss you at 2 a.m., you'll cling to it like it means everything. Because when you're starving, you can't tell the difference between real food and junk. And the thing is, most of us aren't even aware we're hungry. We think we're just in love. We think we're being loyal. We think we're the strong one, the consistent one, the one who doesn't give up on people. But underneath that, it's emptiness. It's the ache of wanting to be seen so badly that you start accepting anything that looks like attention. That's the part no one talks about. We say we're waiting for them to change, but really, we're waiting for us to feel enough. Because here's the raw truth. When you don't feel enough, even their scraps feel like gold. You'll replay that one nice message for days. You'll justify every silence. You'll convince yourself they do care, just in a quiet, hard-to-show way. But deep down, you always know. You know when love is lopsided. You know when you're the one doing too much. You know when your heart is being used like a vending machine for comfort. And still, you stay. Not because you're weak, not because you're dumb, but because you're trying to fill a space inside you that's been empty for a long time. Maybe since childhood. Maybe since that first friend who ghosted you. Maybe since that parent who only showed affection when you were perfect. So now, when someone gives you just enough to hope, you mistake it for love. You think, if I just love them harder, they'll finally see me. If I keep showing up, they'll realize I'm the one. If I prove I'm different, they won't leave. But here's what no one told you. You can't earn the love you never received. You can't perform your way into being chosen. You can't overgive your way into being enough, because the kind of love that requires you to abandon yourself will never heal you. It will only exhaust you, and eventually you'll become bitter. You'll start to believe that love is supposed to hurt, that chasing is normal, that you're just bad at relationships. But you're not. You're just tired of begging for a seat at a table you built. And listen, This isn't about blaming them. This is about seeing yourself, seeing the part of you that's still hoping someone else will make you feel whole, seeing how that hope keeps you stuck in cycles that look like love but feel like anxiety, seeing that your heart is not broken, it's just lonely. And lonely hearts, they don't make good choices, not because they're foolish, but because they're desperate to feel full. That's why you stayed so long. That's why even now, when they send a vague, "I miss you," your chest lights up like maybe it means something, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe they don't miss you. Maybe they just miss the version of themselves that felt important when you kept caring. It hurts, I know, but you're not alone in this. And the pain you feel right now, this ache, this confusion, this tired kind of love, is not a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that you're finally waking up, and waking up hurts. But it also frees you, because once you see it for what it is, you stop chasing what was never meant to stay. You know what I've been thinking about lately? How easy it is to mistake danger for desire when your heart has been starved long enough. Someone says something like, "I've never met anyone like you," and you feel it, that little spark, that tiny high, that rush of being wanted. Even if they've known you for 5 minutes, even if they've never asked you anything real about your life, even if they only text at midnight when they're lonely and you're too tired to say no, you still feel seen, and it's addicting. Because when you haven't been held emotionally, even attention wrapped in red flags feels like love. But here's the part I need you to hear, with both ears open. They don't trick you with what you already have. They trick you with what you're still begging for. If you already felt valuable, you wouldn't fall for someone who only values you when you're useful. If you already felt chosen, you wouldn't cling to people who keep you as a maybe. If you already knew you were lovable, you wouldn't chase proof of it in people who make you feel hard to love. That's how emotional manipulation works. It doesn't come in loud. It doesn't show up as someone evil or toxic. Sometimes it shows up in the softest ways. The "I miss you" after weeks of silence. The breadcrumb compliments when they feel you pulling away. The sudden effort only after you've stopped giving. And if you're not grounded in your worth, you'll believe it. You'll tell yourself they're finally waking up. You'll give them another chance. You'll silence your instincts and say, they just needed time. But the truth is, they never needed time. They needed you to stop needing yourself. Because the less you love yourself, the easier it is for them to offer you just enough to keep you coming back. And it's not always romantic. Sometimes it's a friend who only calls when they're heartbroken. Sometimes it's a boss who compliments your work only when they need overtime. Sometimes it's a family member who hugs you when there's an audience and forgets you when there's not. It's not always big, but it always leaves you feeling like love is something you have to earn. And when love becomes labor, you stop noticing you're being used. You just keep performing, keep adjusting, keep proving, until one day you can't anymore. And even then, the guilt doesn't leave. You still feel bad for pulling away. You still wonder if you were too sensitive. You still replay the moments they were kind, hoping those were the real ones. But let me say something that might help you breathe a little deeper tonight. You're not cold for walking away. You're not ungrateful for needing consistency. You're not mean for finally asking, "What about me?" You just realize something powerful, that being chosen by someone else means nothing if it keeps costing you the parts of yourself you spent years rebuilding. And that's the moment everything changes. Not all at once, but slowly, like fog lifting from a road you've been blindly walking for too long. You start to see clearly that their love wasn't love, it was convenience, that their compliments weren't connection, they were control, that their absence didn't hurt because they were special. It hurt because you made them your mirror. And now? Now you're done handing people mirrors they refuse to look into. You're done trying to fix someone by breaking yourself. You're done accepting less, just to feel like something. Because the truth is, people who are full don't fall for crumbs. People who are healing don't run back to wounds. And people who finally see their own worth don't need anyone else to confirm it. Tonight, before you sleep, I want you to try something. Not a big ritual, not a journal prompt, not even a meditation. Just one quiet question whispered to yourself in the dark. Did I love myself at all today? Not, did I get everything done? Not, did they text me back? Not, did I stay strong and silent and unbothered? Just this. Did I love myself today, even a little? Because if you didn't, I get it. Sometimes loving yourself feels like one more thing to fail at, especially when you've spent so long loving people who made you feel like you were never quite enough. But this isn't about fixing everything tonight. It's about beginning again, beginning quieter, beginning softer. Sometimes healing doesn't look like growth. It looks like stillness. It looks like crying in the car and not apologizing for it. It looks like canceling plans and not hating yourself after. It looks like not replying to a hey at 11:52 p.m. and finally feeling peaceful about it. Healing starts small, like this, like being here, listening to words that remind you of the things you've always known, deep down, but forgot how to believe, that you are never hard to love, that your needs are not a burden, that your silence is not the same as your absence, and anyone who made you feel that way didn't deserve your noise either. Let me tell you something else. You don't have to go no contact to heal. You don't have to block them. You don't have to burn the bridge. You just have to walk yourself off it, step by step, back to land, back to your body, back to the version of you that remembers. You were whole before them. You are whole without them. And you will be whole again, even if it takes time. So what now? Now you breathe. Now you rest. Now you learn how to be with yourself without needing someone to see it. Because the truth is, they might not ever realize what they lost. They might not ever apologize. They might never send the long message you deserve, the one that says, I'm sorry I didn't treat your heart like something rare. But that's okay, because you're not waiting for that anymore. You're not holding your healing hostage for someone else's realization. You're learning to come home to yourself in the quiet, in the confusion, in the ordinary Tuesday nights, where nothing feels dramatic but everything feels heavy. And you're staying, even when it hurts, even when it's boring, even when no one claps for you or notices, you're staying with yourself. Because that's the kind of love that never leaves, that never has to be earned. That doesn't vanish when you stop performing. And maybe one day, they'll think about you. Really think. Not about what you gave, but about who you were. The one who saw them when no one else did. The one who stayed soft even when it wasn't returned. The one who would have done anything until you finally did the hardest thing. You stopped. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started choosing yourself. And that's what I want to leave you with. Not some quote. Not some clever ending. Just this. You mattered even when they didn't notice. You matter now. And I'll be here next week. Same time, same quiet space. Still choosing to remind you, take care of your heart. Let it breathe. And if no one told you today, I'm proud of you. For listening. For staying. For being here. Talk soon.